Welcome to Take the Lead. My name is Muriel Boettger. I'm a psychologist specialized in the subdiscipline of positive psychology. Within the Take the Lead series, we focus on how to take the lead in your career or with your team. With me throughout, I have the wonderful Saleha Williams, one of the UK's top 100 technology leaders driving change in the technology business world. We are going to share with you how, by training your brain, you can take the lead in your career or lead your teams in business. Welcome to part 3, Take the Lead. So we today are talking about the second P in the 4 Ps, positive career mindset and positive leadership style framework with Saleha Williams. So far in the series, we have talked about how we can train our brains to design and build the career of our dreams, and as leaders, how using neuroscience, we can build dynamic and successful teams. In the first of the 4P model, we have talked about the first P, passion, identifying and nurturing our passion as individuals and as part of a team. In this podcast, we talk about the second of the 4 Ps, precision. Saleha, welcome back.
Thank you.
So we've talked about passion, the first P, in the 4P model. In your positive career mindset and positive leadership framework, what is about precision? Tell me about the second P.
Okay, so I think when we're talking about focusing our career or trying to build and design our career, or certainly with teams that we're trying to focus and build teams around, you need precision, laser precision. And it's so easy in this world full of technology, and I love technology, that's the lifeblood of what I do, but it is so easy to get distracted. So from a neuroscience perspective, how can we train our brains to stay on task, to stay focused? And what we're really talking about is metacognition. And metacognition is the understanding of how our brains work so that we can stay focused. And how do we increase that part of our brain so that we can increase and sustain that focus and attention? And there was an interesting study done by a research psychologist, Larry Rosen, who was the past chair of the psychology department at California State University. And he specializes in multitasking, social networking, generational differences, as well as sort of the neuropsychology around development, performance, and learning. So how, particularly in a multitasking social media type world, how do we stay on task and train our brain to do that? And what was interesting was they did this study where they had 2 groups of students and they were asked to watch a video of a particular subject that they were studying. And to one group of students, they would send text messages at different points and different times. And the second group, they would also send text messages, maybe at different points and at different intervals. But both groups were getting these text messages while they're watching this class, where they're trying to study this video. And what was interesting was at the end of it, one group did really well, and they got an A in the study and the recollection of what they had to talk about that they'd seen on the video. And the other group didn't do so well. And so what they were looking into is both groups were getting these text messages and both were responding. So it isn't a question of one group were ignoring them and didn't do anything. Both groups were asked to respond, and they were being asked questions in these text messages like, what is your focus or your major, and why did you choose this subject? So it wasn't a quick yes or no answer, it was quite a detailed answer that was needed. And it turned out that the group that did really well, although they had the same amount of text messages and the same questions, they were much more selective as to when they responded. Now, both groups responded during the video. So it wasn't a question of one waited right until the end. Both had to respond before the end of the video. And the question that was posed to them as to, when did they respond and how well they responded, what it came down to was in Group A, the group that did very well said, we responded when we thought the video was showing us something that wouldn't come up on the text. And so, on the test.
Yeah.
And so, whereas Group B were responding straight away, and, there wasn't any delay, even though they both had to do it in the same time. So the point of this is that Group A was saying, yeah, we know we had to respond. We all get emails, text messages, etc. We did need to respond, but we were very selective. And we were thinking, no, right now, I'm focused on, I need to do the test at the end of this video. And so I'm only going to break and respond to this text messages when I don't think that's going to come up on the test. So, and what this showed in the brain scanning was, again, the focus of the brain of what am I trying to achieve right now? Not just not being distracted, because they did have to respond, but they were very selective as to when. And the when was focused on when they thought they could basically get away with it and ignore what else was going on. And it sounds obvious in a way, but I think it is so easy to just always try and respond and get distracted when we need to balance that. We're not always in a situation where we can be, have the luxury of not responding to something or, sort of reacting to something. But how we select to do that, we can train our brain to say, no, right now I am only doing this. And when I think there is a break, I will then, respond.
So it is also about training our brain to learn when is what more urgent than the other thing. Because in this study you just described, it's that the video is, because of the test, more urgent than the text message. And maybe in real life, it's when there are emails coming in, especially in the business and technology context, they are always urgent. Like everyone thinks my message is super urgent and my topic should be your priority right now, but it's also about learning what priority and what urgency do I need to go with, and for which do I need to make my own decision.
Absolutely. And so therefore in life, when you are planning your career, it is around what is the priority right now, because it may be that you're not necessarily in a work situation, but you are, sort of trying to decide what you're doing with your career and planning around that, or maybe you are at school or whatever that might be. But it's around, where are you putting your focus?
Yeah.
In life generally, where are you putting your focus, and not just always reacting?
Yeah.
In a world where you are expected to react.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is a really interesting study. And how do we, in this world you just described, full of distractions, find a focus?
So let me tell you about the brilliant thing that I know catapulted my career. And this has been something that has been relayed back to me numerous times. And I've used it as an example numerous times. And it's essentially all about the planning. So many years ago, early in my career, I was a brand manager at BT, a global telecommunications company. And I had a fantastic boss called Kate. And to this day, I credit Kate with propelling my career forward. And she put it down to this brilliant thing that happened, that I did. And so I still use that now for myself, this brilliant thing, and I use it with Kate. I use it with my bosses, with my teams, to this day.
Okay, so what is this brilliant thing you're going to tell us about?
So basically, let's put this in context. So let me tell you the story of the brilliant thing. So Kate was the head of brand expression. And basically, we looked at how we activated the BT brand across the group and across multiple platforms. And this was a multi-million-dollar budget spend on marketing, media, campaigns. And Kate had written this thing, a brand management program. And essentially the program or the strategy that she had written was around how do we engage our internal talent, so our marketing managers across BT, to really use the brand in the best way, and how do we educate our agencies, so our design agencies, ad agencies, media agencies, PR, to use and create assets and campaigns that really, sort of make the most of the brand and the way that we had strategically we're using the brand creatively. So this was a collection of strategy documents that Kate had put together, and it was superb. It was fantastic, and I loved it. Now Kate was a brilliant boss, and she knew that I was committed. I was experienced enough. She was a great mentor. And I remember being on a business trip with her in New York, and we'd come from London. So this was a big deal. And she took me to the Sony Centre. And the Sony Centre basically had what they called a brand experience centre. And today we'd probably call that a customer experience centre. Yeah. But essentially, what was brilliant about Kate was that she really went behind what she loved about the Sony Centre, and that the purpose of our trip was to look at how we would then recreate, as part of this brand strategy, a brand centre in London for BT. So we were looking at sort of best in practice, etc. And she really went into, when we walked into this fantastic building, why she loved it and how it engaged and inspired adults and kids alike to really engage with the Sony brand. She also took me to the Rockefeller Center, to the Rainbow Room, for an amazing evening, but that's a whole nother story. So you've got this person who is incredibly passionate about what she loves around design, around how you then express the brand and activate the brand in a physical center, an experience sort of center. And before we went on this trip, I had been sent on a Project Management Institute 5-day course. And this essentially was around project management. Now you have to remember that this is in a creative marketing environment. So although project management is used a lot in technical and sort of very technical technology programs, it's not necessarily something then that was being used in a creative marketing sense. And having been to this fabulous brand experience centre in the States with Kate, I then took all of these documents that she'd created, these strategy documents, and put them into one master document. And this, as simple as it sounds, was the brilliant thing. Because what it was looking at, what are we trying to achieve here? What's our vision? What's our goal? Who do we need to involve in this? And that was, questioning who are the key stakeholders, as well as the people we need to engage and communicate with internally. What are the resources? What are the budgets? What's the risks, and how do we mitigate those risks? And how do we then put this into a very clear roles and responsibilities? Because there was a lot of people involved in this program. What their roles are, what they need to do, by when, how, and how we would measure it. Precision focus around this fantastic vision that she had, as well as how you do it, who you do it with, why you're doing it, and how you measure it. And so this became this master document around who, what, why, when, where.
How did the Sony Center itself inspired you to create this whole master document, which is the brilliant thing you then created, and which promoted your career so much?
I think it was because having had such a good mentor and boss that Kate was, there was so much passion behind Kate and the way she communicated and what she was trying to achieve with her BT brand strategy. And that was so evident in how it had been done at the Sony Centre.
Yeah.
And so everything that you experienced, from what you saw, what you heard, what you played with in this amazing environment, it was a question of saying, okay, the Sony Centre has resulted in this truly stunning building with so many different things going on. How do you then work back from this amazing thing to how do you get it there?
Yeah, that's amazing. So this is amazing and stunning, and at the same time it's so simple to just put it all together. And as simple as it is, how often do we really focus our energy and plan our time, and that of our team members, for example, and their roles and responsibilities of each person in the team?
Well, this is the thing. And I think, at the time when I did it, I thought, well, this is just common sense. I mean, I've been given the templates of how to put this into a great document. But so to me, this was, I'm only collecting what has been a brilliant strategy that Kate had put together. But what was very clear then, and even still now, over 20 years later, is not everyone thinks like that. And so people need to see for themselves as an individual or as a team precisely what it is you're trying to achieve and how you're going to do it. And as simple as that sounds, if you're not wired that way, if your brain doesn't think that way, which, for some people it doesn't, and that's not a criticism, that is just some people use more of their side of their left brain than their right side. Some people are more analytical, logical, others are more creative. Yeah. So creative people, generally speaking, may not be as linear in you do this and this and this and this. But if you're working in a team environment or a client environment, you have to be clear.
Yeah.
And if we take this back to how do you design and plan your own career, you've got to have that laser focus of this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is how I'm going to do it. This is what I need to do it, the resources, the budget, the financial investment, the time and the energy investment. And as we've said previously, if you then look at the parts of the brain that you then start to activate around focus, confidence, learning, memory, you're then building those assets within your brain to get the career that you want, to get the job you want, because you are being laser precise in what you're trying to achieve, even if that then changes later. But it's having that precision of this is what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. So is there, this just came into the top of my head, but is there anything when you are now a listener who is trying to take the lead over his or her career, is there anything you can do right now to train your laser precision?
Again, it's investing the time to think about it. And for some people, it may be meditation. For some people, it may be just literally when you get up in the morning, what are the 3 things you're going to do today? That you absolutely are going to do today. Now, whether that is study for a test at school, finish an assignment at school, produce or think of an idea that you need for a new project, or whether at work it is, what are those top 3 things I have to do? Yeah. And if you start your day like that, you are in a far more productive mindset. That you're going, no, this is, and it's that laser precision again.
Yeah, because it brings this structure into the whole, how am I going through my day?
Yes.
Am I just going through it and all the things from the outside can come to me, or am I planning which things I'm going to approach during that day?
Exactly. Are you being reactive or proactive?
Yeah.
And the more you think like that, the more your brain activates and builds that part that goes, no, like the people in the test we talked about at the beginning, no, I need to learn this first, or I need to finish this first, and then I will do this. And so it is proven when we scan the brain and we look at the imaging that if you think and you keep building and have that positive laser precision of, no, I am trying to do this, then you will keep that energy and that attention on that. You keep building that muscle and that part of the brain to do that, and you achieve. You get the results. You get what it is that you're trying to do. Now, that may be on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, quarterly, yearly, decade. And it's having that that planning and that precision, but putting your energy into that and thinking through like that.
Yes.
And that then, of course, relates back to what are you trying to achieve in the first place?
Yes. And this also pays into our productivity when I put more precision and structure into it. And we will talk about productivity, so the third P of your 4P model, within the next podcast episode. And I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you for the story and for the inspiring story about Kate. And we will talk again on productivity within the next series. And we hope to see you or hear you as a listener back then.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Saleha.
Thank you.